Market breadth turns negative as mid-caps drag. IT and consumer durables are eking out gains while realty, auto and industrials are the big laggards. An increase in gold prices helps Titan notch up higher realizations in the second quarter as the festive season kicks off early this year. Gold coin purchases also aided the performance as other consumer segments too posted strong growth. The stock among the top gainers today. The RBI's ECL norms will have a limited impact on the balance sheet, says State Bank of India Chairman CS Sethi, but he sees the lower risk weights on residential mortgage and SME lending as positive steps that will release capital for banks. The Home Minister and Finance Minister have held talks with Tata trustees Noel Tata and N. Chandra amidst fears of a coup and differences over disclosures, fund allocations and key appointments. The expectation is that this will help de-escalate tensions and will lead to a workable resolution. Good afternoon, you're with us here on Business Lunch. We are coming to you live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studios. I am Hormas Patakia, and it's been a swift recovery from the lows of the day, although the indices still continue to remain in the red. But the Nifty has recovered from the day's low. At one point, the index was on the verge of breaking the mark of 25,000, but now has headed back towards levels of 25,100, almost moving into positive territory as well. So far, it's almost mirroring yesterday's trading session. When we opened higher, we moved towards the highs of the day, gave up those gains, then recovered, but fell off the cliff in the second half of the trading session. It'll be interesting to see what the final hour holds up in today's trade. The Nifty Bank was the one that was seeing the bigger underperformance in comparison to the Nifty. That has seen a recovery. At one point, the index was down around 350 points, seen a bit of 150, 170 point odd recovery from the lows of the session, back above the mark of 56,000. That's the more important bit here on the Nifty Bank. So keep that at the back of your mind as well. Advanced decline ratio has been negative for the last two trading sessions. At the start of the day, it was negative as it was positive. The lines converged, and now it appears as if the lines are converging as well, as almost a pitchfork sort of a drawing here in terms of the advanced decline ratio. But the one stock that has done well all through the day has been Titan, and that is in reaction to its second quarter business update. Mangalam is here with more details on this. Mangalam.
Well, it's really been a heartening update coming in from Titan this time around. One would say that at 19% domestic revenue growth for the jewelry business, it's below what the other peers have reported. But remember, Titan's momentum has been fairly strong, and their base is nearly double of the next competitor that is on the bourses as well. So to that extent, this number is very strong. And add to that, there are a couple of positives as well. There has been a substantial growth in the ticket sizes because of the gold price increase that we've been talking about here on CNBC-TV18 already. But importantly, the reduction in footfalls has not been as much. So that's a positive. And secondly, the same quarter last year had a very high base due to the customs duty reduction. But that was offset by the early onset of festive season this time around as well. What really stood out this time for me was that studded sales were actually higher as compared to plain gold jewelry growth. And that's margin accretive. But at the same time, people chose to invest in gold via gold coins. So plain gold coins also did fairly well. For Titan, large part of their business is jewelry, holding well. But the smaller part, which is the growth business, has been actually doing even better. So you have emerging businesses that grew by almost 37%. Carrot Lane international businesses grew by 30 and 86%. And there was steady growth of almost 12% for their watches business. And eye care as well grew by about 9%. Brokerages happy, and the stock even happier.
If the company's name is Titan, you may as well give an update like that. But Mangalam, thank you for that. 4% higher on the stock. Among the top gainers on the Nifty has held on to those gains all through the session. The other one, of course, is the banking names, and they continue to be in focus as the RBI's credit provisioning guidelines and their draft on the credit risk capital framework was released. And Gaurav is now joining in with more details and the implications of this as well. Gaurav.
Well, yes. First, let's talk about the ECL changes that RBI has suggested in their draft guidelines. First is that they have now added new classifications, which is stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. Remember, currently we are classifying assets into standard and NPAs, and within NPAs we do classify as substandard or doubtful assets, and on the back of that the risk weights are actually assigned. But at the same time, now they have added new classification as stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. For stage 2, they have added a new condition of more than 60 DPD, and at the same time, banks are now requested to consider probability of default, loss given default and exposure at default for the calculation. And now they have also proposed a floor of around, for stage 1, the ECL is going to be 0.25 to 1.25. For stage 2, it is going to be 1.5 to 5. And for stage 3, it is going to be around 25 to 100%. Other than that, now Motilal Oswal, they do believe that it is going to be positive for big banks, and at the same time they see a limited impact on the PSPs, and we may see some kind of impact on the banks who have unsecured exposure as well, like IndusInd Bank, Bandhan Bank, because they might need higher provision. But remember, this is going to get applicable from 1st April of 2027, and banks will get time till FY32 for the, and that is the reason why the transition period is high, and that is the reason why we are not seeing any kind of big impact here. But what came as a surprise is that the draft guidelines for credit risk capital. Now for the risk weights, two positive things to highlight. First is that for real estate exposure, the LTV for housing loans, that has brought down to 20 to 40%, and at the same time for personal loans and credit card, what they have done is that they have lowered the risk credit weight for transaction category to around, that has been brought down. So to around 100% versus what it was at 125. So as per Motilal Oswal, it is going to be big beneficial for card players. In fact, let's also understand it is going to be positive for RBL Bank, because they have around 30% of the portfolio which is in their credit card as transactors. So definitely, as a result, we are also seeing some kind of positive impact on the stock price of RBL as a result of this.
Indeed, Gaurav, thank you for that update. SBI Cards doing fairly well for itself, 2.5% higher in today's session as well. But since we are on the subject of SBI and its units, on the sidelines of the Global FinTech Fest, my colleague Ritu spoke to CS Sethi, the chairman of India's largest lender, and Ashok Chandra, the MD and CEO of PNB, about these ECL framework and its likely impact that they would likely have. Listen to what they had to say.
The ECL guidelines are broadly as we expected. Of course, in fact, there are the draft guidelines also I had mentioned in terms of increased provision requirement for stage 2 assets. Stage 1, stage 2 concept is anyways there in the non-banking finance companies, right? Yeah. They move to IFRS. Yeah. This ECL guidelines broadly aligns with the IFRS 9 requirements. And there are a lot of nuances there in the kind of risk weights, what we have to follow, various categories of loans. Yeah. We would be evaluating that. Banks like SBI, based on the draft guidelines itself, we have put the technology, our models, PD, LGD, and risk assessment models in place. So the transition should be smooth, both in terms of the adoption of models, as well as managing the balance sheet impact. I believe there will be a limited impact on the bank's balance sheets.
At a very, very appropriate time, Reserve Bank of India has come out with the ECL implementation now. And the 5 years, the guideline is there, 5 years implementation period is there. And roughly we have calculated both stage 1, 2, 3 and all put together. See, if I can talk about our bank, we have the provision coverage ratio of 97%. That gives a lot of comfort for us to meet those challenges which is going to come because of the ECL. And rough calculation, we don't see much challenge in implementation. See, if you see the SMA-2 provision, SMA-2 impact also in our bank, it is well under control now. It is less than 4% now. Okay. And overall, SMA portfolio also, both SMA 0, 1, 2 put together also, we have hardly
4% of the book.
No, it is around 6% now.
6% of the book is SMA.
And SMA-2 itself is very, very low now. Okay. So I don't see the much impact is going to happen in the entire book now.
Now, Ashok Chandra also spoke about the new leadership change in PNB Housing and said that the decision on the new MD and CEO is expected to be taken by the end of this month.
I think if you see the entire the process of the recruitment of MD and CEO for the PNB Housing Finance is already under process. Very transparent process, I think they are following up. And what I understand from their NRC and the board that I think they are going to conclude the final interview process and all. And I'm also expecting that by end of this month, definitely the outcome and the names should come out.
There was speculation about, a former Bandhan Bank executive, Mr. Santosh Nair, being a top contender. Any comments on that side?
I don't have any idea about it. I don't have any idea.
Let us also now get you updates on the boardroom battle at the Tata Group. The government has taken cognizance of the differences between trustees of the Tata Trusts, a development which saw senior leadership of the Tata Group meet with Home Minister Amit Shah and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman last evening. Now, according to sources close to the Tata Group, they are also telling CNBC TV18 that the narrative of a coup being engineered by Meli Mistry and others is false. However, there are differences of opinion over certain issues like the infusion of 1,000 crore rupees of equity into Tata International by Tata Sons, which was eventually cleared. Sources also tell us that the board meeting scheduled for the 10th of October has nothing to do with the recent issues at the group, but will be focused on philanthropic activities. We'll take a short break here on Business Lunch. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated the India Mobile Congress 2025, calling it Asia's largest digital tech platform. Now, showcasing India's export-ready 4G technology, Prime Minister Modi said that the country is fast emerging as a key player in the global tech value chain, furthering his Atmanirbhar vision. He urged investors and innovators to capitalize on what he called, quote-unquote, the best time to make in India. Take a look.
This is the best time to invest, इनोवेट एंड मेक इन इंडिया। हमें देखना होगा कि ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन में कहां रुकावटें आ रही हैं। मोबाइल, टेलीकॉम, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स और पूरे टेक्नोलॉजी इकोसिस्टम में जहां भी ग्लोबल बॉटलनेक्स हैं, वहां भारत के पास दुनिया को सॉल्यूशन देने का मौका है। उदाहरण के लिए हमने पहचान की सेमीकंडक्टर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की कैपेसिटी अब कुछ गिने चुने देशों तक सीमित थी और पूरी दुनिया डाइवर्सिफिकेशन चाहती थी। आज भारत ने इस दिशा में महत्वपूर्ण कदम उठाया है। भारत में 10 सेमीकंडक्टर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स पर काम हो रहा है।
Now, India's telecom minister also spoke at the event, pitching India as a hub for innovations in 6G and satellite communications. Listen in.
The Prime Minister's resolve with the PLI scheme, Production-Linked Incentive Scheme, today has resulted in close to 91,000 crore of new production, 18,000 crores of exports, and the creation of 30,000 new jobs. India's ambition, ladies and gentlemen, goes beyond 5G. The Bharat 6G Alliance aims for 10% of patents as standards will be set for 6G. SATCOM today is expanding horizons, taking connectivity from land to sea to space. And the SATCOM market today, across telecom and broadcasting, which is at close to $4 billion, will triple to almost $15 billion by 2033.
Now, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer landed in Mumbai this morning and was received by Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and Deputy Chief Ministers Eknath Shinde. The Starmer is expected to attend events at the Cooperage ground and will also visit Yashraj Studios later today. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is also expected to call on the British Prime Minister later this evening. Starmer will also meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi tomorrow morning. We'll take a short break. More news and updates follow on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. And the market, well, the Nifty has almost turned positive now, back at that 25,100 mark. So it's a 100-point recovery from the lows of the day for the index. It will be interesting to see whether this recovery sustains as we go into the final 2 hours of the trading session. Remember, we begin earnings season tomorrow with TCS and Tata Elxsi. And of course, tomorrow is also going to be the expiry of the weekly contracts of the BSE. TCS 2% higher at the highest point of the day. Tata Elxsi 2 holding on to gains of 1.25%, and fairly okay for itself ahead of its earnings as well. Now moving on, Mumbai is set to get a massive infrastructure upgrade with Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurating phase 1 of the Navi Mumbai International Airport today. The project is expected to ease congestion at Mumbai's existing airport. The Navi Mumbai International Airport is India's largest greenfield airport project, built under a public-private partnership at a cost of 19,650 crore rupees. After the inauguration, Mumbai joins a select club of cities with 2 international airports. And lastly, here are some visuals from the 93rd Air Force Day. It was marked by a grand parade and an air show at the Hindon Air Force Station. With that, we call time on this edition of Business Lunch as we leave you with these visuals. Thank you so much for watching. Midcap Radar on the other side.